Hello and welcome to my Audi R8 V10 Plus and the realisation that I've actually owned this car for about 6 months at this point. So I figured now was about the right time to pull the car out, go for a drive in our beautiful wee country and give you a rundown of some of the things that I love about the car, some of the things that I don't like so much, and just a good general recap of how things have been going. So I do apologise for the lack of what you might call sex appeal in this video. Oftentimes when you watch YouTubers make videos like this, it's because they're just about to set off on a 2-week trip to Monaco with a car, or they're going to be touring Europe or something like that. Well, none of that is happening in today's video. This is simply an owner giving you a bit of insight into the things that I personally really enjoy about the car and some of the things that I don't like so much. So kicking us off is, without a shadow of a doubt, my favourite thing about the car. I don't need to say anything, just get a load of this. Okay, so yeah, the noise. They absolutely nailed the noise with the R8, with a couple of little caveats. Number one, this has got a Capristo exhaust system on it. That's obviously helping things out majorly. I think the V10s were a little louder than the V8s, but even then, it's not going to sound as good as that stock, is it? The other caveats I've got with the noise, the cold start. My God, I love the way this car sounds, but that cold start would absolutely wake the dead. It's unbelievable. Also, another little caveat on the noise front, something I only noticed when I drove a Gen 2 R8, and it's that on the overrun they've got lots of lovely little cracks and pops and stuff coming from the exhaust. You just don't get that in the Gen 1s. I don't know if that's maybe something that can be added into the map. Maybe it'll damage the cats, who knows? Maybe it's an absolute nightmare to set up. If any of you know and have done it, I would love to hear from you, because when you downshift it sounds unreal, but it would just be nice to have a little bit more substance there, if you get what I mean. Anyway, dual carriageway. Let's drop it out of kill mode to talk about this next point, because we've got the drone up and it's not going to catch us if we keep that sport mode on. Next point, bit old and boring of me, but it is important. Value for money. And honestly, I think this is an area where the R8 absolutely excels. It's one of the reasons why I think the values of these are going to shoot up in years to come, when people realise how good they are and how much of a bargain they are. Starting at the lower rung, if you're looking at like a manual V8, what else are you buying at mid 30,000s that looks this good, drives this good, is as reliable and as exotic? I can't think of a single other car. Moving up the rungs, something like this, a V10 with the S-tronic gearbox. Well, you're essentially not that far from what you're going to get if you spend over £100,000 on a Lamborghini Huracan. Even if you bought a late stage LP560 Gallardo, okay, you might get that engine back there, but it's not going to come with a dual clutch gearbox. You're going to be onto the single clutch and replacing them for thousands of pounds every other few thousand miles. I think the value for money is hard to beat. So clearly I love this car, I adore this car, I'm on record saying that. So why are we doing the tired cliche things I hate about my car, YouTube style? Well, honestly, I think that is an excellent, insightful way to get to know a car. If you're thinking about buying one of these, then that's a great way to understand the shortcomings of the car. So I'm going to give you 3 of mine now. So number 1, this is a V10 Plus. V10 Plus. Honestly, I don't think that they differentiated the Plus enough from the normal V10. Okay, it got a little bit more power. They claimed it was a little bit lower. The carbon ceramic brakes is a massive plus, not taking that away from it. See what I've done there? It's a plus. However, the little changes that I've made to this car now, and maybe this is me, it's obviously going to be subjective, you can let me know in the comments below, but for me, the little changes that I've made to it, the addition of that carbon wing on the back, and the coilovers bringing it down just another 20 mil or so, for me, I think personally, this is the way that the V10 Plus should have left the factory. But of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So the next point I'm going to make here, honestly, I'm probably going to fall over my words trying to say this because it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's the badge. At the end of the day, it's an Audi. For a lot of people, simply put, that's not going to be special enough, even if it is an R8, even if it shares the same chassis as the LP560, even if it shares the same engine gearbox setup as the Huracan, loosely speaking there. At the end of the day, an Audi is just simply not going to be special enough for some people, and I can completely understand that. So technically, yeah, okay, it's a negative, but at the same time, the reason I say it's a blessing is because you avoid the Italian, the Ferrari, the Lamborghini tax that affixes to a car like that. The reason that these are so affordable at the end of the day is because they're an Audi. Now, if that's not the case for you, and you're thinking, I would be quite happy with an Audi, or even if you are looking at a Lamborghini, Ferrari, or much more ordinary everyday car, here's a quick tip for you. Visit vehiclescore.co.uk when you're buying your next car. This is a totally free service, by the way. Put in the plate of the car that you're interested in, and it'll tell you all the good and bad points about that specific car. They also offer paid HPI reports. Never buy a car without doing one of these, as I found out by almost buying a salvage Lamborghini that was all tarted up in a nice showroom somewhere. This check saved my bacon, so make sure you buy an HPI check from these guys. Here's a 15% discount voucher on screen now and in the description below. Don't say I'm not good to you. So the next point that I hate, don't really hate it, but here we are on YouTube, so we're going to say we hate it, it's diabolical. It's the steering. Now, again, this is something that I've mentioned before with R8s. It's pretty well publicised about R8s that the engineers who were behind the development of the Gen 1 cars, they wanted more budget, more time, more development put into the steering feel. And honestly, it shows. If you drive something like an R35 GTR, it's a revelation compared to a car like this. There's so much more feedback, it's so much more communicative. The steering in these Gen 1 R8s, it's just a little bit numb. It's a shame because it's an amazing chassis, amazing engine, amazing brakes, amazing driving experience, but the steering lets it down just a smidge. I wish there was a little bit more coming through it. And the reason I compare it to an R35 GTR is that is as equally a large GT car with a front differential and weight over that front axle, but it manages to nail it. Well, maybe not nail it, but it's a heck of a lot better than the R8. A shame, but it is what it is. So as I slow to pull into this little car park here, I'm going to give an honourable shout out to the carbon ceramic brakes. They will pull your face off. However, just be aware that they are not for everyone, let's say. Make sure you go out there and you drive a V10 Plus that's got these carbon ceramic brakes on before you commit to the purchase. I've driven a Gen 1 Gallardo and that was much, much worse. The brakes were far noisier, far less progressive than they are on these R8s. However, they can still be grabby, and when they're cold, they don't function very well at all. So just be ready for it. If you're used to steel brakes, as I had been for my whole life, and then jumping into the carbon ceramics, there's big pluses to them. No brake dust is a major plus. However, grabbiness is a factor, so just be aware of it. So there you have it then. How do we summarise the Gen 1 R8? Undervalued, I think, is the right turn of phrase. I'm keeping an eye on this wasp. Amazing Lamborghini derived engine, dual clutch gearbox that Lamborghinis of the same era didn't even get. All-wheel drive, gorgeous looks, reliability, cheap servicing, all rolled into a relatively affordable dream car package. 55, 60,000 pounds. I would not be surprised if the values creep up a whole lot more than that, and then you can come back to this video and say, yeah, Grant, you were actually right. Now, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Hit like on this button if you've enjoyed it, and also consider hitting the subscribe button as well. Helps the channel grow. I'll see you for the next one.